keep the questions coming.
From UgandaSWUG Training Center. It's a technical training center based in India in 2000, so almost 23 years back. I'm a SOLIDWORKS expert and champion. I have been recently recognized as one of the SOLIDWORKS superhero. There are like many superheroes, and I have been recognized as one of them. I'm one of the SWUG Community Award winner for Michelle Pillar SWUG Community Award winner. It's a lifetime award, and it is given to people who dedicate most of their time in helping out the community in any way they can. I have been learning SOLIDWORKS since 2005, and I'm still learning. My day-to-day work is I work with a lot of companies and SOLIDWORKS users around the world, and I help them with their design drafting and design automation needs in SOLIDWORKS. When I say design automation, it means the macros, standalones, or the add-ins, and I make these design automation tool for them so that they can reduce the time in doing the repeated task, do it more efficiently without errors, and of course, they are faster to the market and bringing their product. Okay, like we discussed, the agenda for today will be continuing our journey with the SOLIDWORKS drawings, and we will be covering few more view types: the auxiliary view, break view, exploded view, alternate position, relative to model, and finally the named view. We'll also look at why we want to have these views and how, in which situations these views are helpful to us. So let's start with an auxiliary view. Auxiliary view is basically used when you have inclined or slanted surface, and that the detail on that surface is not easily visible in an orthographic view. So what we do is, instead of an orthographic view, we create an auxiliary view which can be perpendicular to a line, a sketch line. We can draw a sketch line. It can be perpendicular to the selected plane or a selected edge. Now, where to find auxiliary views? We can have the auxiliary views on the drawing toolbar. If it is not available in your SOLIDWORKS settings, you can always add it over there, or you can also go to insert menu. Then you can go to drawing view and click on auxiliary view. So let's look at one of the example first for the auxiliary view. So I have this view, and let me open up the model first. And I have this M20 threaded hole on this inclined surface. Now, when I go to a drawing and when I create a projected view, right, you can see this this threaded view, or sorry, the threaded hole is not clearly visible. So in case if I try to add a whole call out to this, right, it may not come in each situation, and it's not that is clearly visible, right? So now what to do? We'll remove this view and we'll go to our drawing toolbar, or we can go to insert drawing view as well. I'll go to my toolbar. I'll click on auxiliary view. Now, when we click on auxiliary view, it asks or it requests us to select a reference edge. The reference edge could be a sketch line, could be an edge, or could be in plane. Now, in this case, I will select this edge. The moment I click on the edge, you can see a view is already in the picture. Now, you can place the view anywhere you want. You can drag in case you want to change the direction. And right now, the view is aligned with the selected reference. Now, in case you want to break the reference, you just press Control on the keyboard, and now you can place the view anywhere you want. So I have pressed the control on the keyboard and I'm placing the view over here. So let me just change it to, okay. So the view has come and we can clearly see the cylindrical hole. The shape is clearly visible. So we can leave the view as it is if we want, or if we want to rotate the view, we can right click on the view. We can go align drawing view and then we can select horizontal to the sheet clockwise or horizontal to the sheet counterclockwise. So let's pick clockwise. The view will be rotated accordingly and the angle will be added below the view label. So in this case, it has rotated by 23.47 degrees. So the view has been generated. Now the details are clear. And this arrow indicates, so anyone looking at the view can look at this arrow and he or she can easily understand that this particular view is in this direction. And we can also move this arrow wherever we want. So if we want to keep it close to the edge, we can always move it. Now, similarly, we will look at a different situation. Now we have this cylindrical wheel. And if I open up the model, I have this hole over here, which is again at an inclined surface, or not an inclined surface, but which may not be clearly visible. Clearly visible in the sense it is not, the shape is not clear over here. So now what to do in this particular case? Because we have this edge as a cylindrical edge, we can use this edge we want, or what we can do is let's do something else. What I will do is I will show the sketch, right? And now I will double click on this view. I'll start a line command and I'll draw a line, just a straight line. And I will pick this sketch line, and set a relation of perpendicular, because that's how we want the view. The perpendicular relation has been added. Now, with the sketch active, I will go to auxiliary view. I will click on this line. And now the view is being perpendicular to this particular line. Again, I'll press Control and I'll leave the view over here. I think, yeah. Now we can clearly see the hole. We can again rotate the view. So it has rotated by 30 degrees. We can hide the sketch if we want. So right click and hide. So now the person looking at this drawing can clearly see that this view is in this direction. Any questions on the auxiliary view? Or should we go to the next view?
Deepak, there are no questions. We'll go to the next view.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next one. Next one is a break view. Break view basically means breaking a view at a defined location. Why we need a break view? Break view is generally used for cylindrical component which are longer in length as compared to their dia, and when we put their views on the drawing, because of their length, either the detail will be too small, or if we try to increase the scale so that the details on the view geometry are clearly visible, but due to that the view may go out of the sheet boundary. So now what we do, because we want to show the detailed geometry of the model as well, and we want to restrain the view boundary within the sheet boundary. So what we do is we break the view but we have to make sure that when we break the view, that we are not breaking away any detail. Now, where to find the break view? We can find the break view on the drawing toolbar icon or under the insert menu. Let's look at one example. Now, in this particular case, what I can do is I can reduce the scale, or let's make it 5, right? And we can place the view easily in the view boundary. But now, because we have increased the scale, the details are not that clearly visible. I'll make it again 1:2, and but to make it clear, now the details are clear, but the view is going out of the space. So what we do now, we'll go to break view. It says select the view which you want to break. There is a limitation that you cannot break a view which is already which is basically a detailed view, which is already a cropped view, or which is a removed section view or an empty view, right? So what we do is we click on this view, and it gives us different options like how you want the cut direction. Now, this is because it's an horizontal view. We will pick the horizontal direction. We can define the gap size, and then we can also define the line type, how we want it to be. So I'll pick this one, click for the first line, and then I'll click for the second line. And we can add more views if you want, but we have to make sure that we are not breaking away any detail. So what I'll do is I'll select these lines and delete them off. Now you can just drag them. Now we are using the scale 1:2. The complete view is in the view boundary is in the sheet boundary. The details are much clear and it is looking nicer. And when we do the dimensions for the complete edge, right? So it will not take away the area of the view which we have broken away or which we have taken away. So the length will remain the same irrespective of how many views or how many breaks we have added. One more tip over here is we can also dimension these lines if you want to put them in a specific dimension. So what we do is we add the dimension, select the line or the edge first, and say I want to keep it at 275 from here, and say 275 from here. So these dimensions will auto hide, right? Now with giving these dimension break lines, defining break lines via dimensions, we can put them in a more better way. Like right now, the break line are in the center of the view. So if you don't want, you can simply delete these dimensions. We'll move on to the next one. Exploded view. Exploded view are generally used for the assemblies, but SOLIDWORKS now provides you options to provide exploded view for part model as well, where you have multi-body parts. Now, why exploded view is used is basically used to show the relation between different components, how they fit together, how they assemble together, or how they disassemble. So if say you want to show the steps of the assemblies, you can use an exploded view to define those things. Now, exploded view is not a view like we have discussed the auxiliary view or the break view. So there is no icon on the drawing toolbar because the exploded view is being driven from the model. So what I'll do is I have these two views, both are them are isometric views. So what we will do is we will have one of the view as exploded view. And for that, what I have done is I have created an exploded view in the model. So when we create an exploded view in the model, an additional, you can say an additional configuration is added under the configuration, under the active configuration. So whatever configuration is active, when you create the exploded view, it is added as an exploded view configuration, right? So we'll go back to the view. Now, how we can show the one of these views as exploded view? You click on the view and you will see in the view property manager that show in exploded or model brick state. You can click this. So one option is over here, and you can have different exploded view for the same configuration. So if you have different exploded view, those options or those configurations will appear in these drop downs. So first option is using this checkbox, and this checkbox will only appear if you have the exploded view in the model. The second option is you right click on the model and show in exploded state. This is another option. If you do not want to show the exploded view, you can right click, show in exploded state. And the third option is you right click on the view, go to properties, and you can show, or you can select this option, show in exploded view. So these are the three different ways where we can have the model shown in the exploded view. So depending on the workflow, you can select any of the option, right? You can right click, you can click on the property manager, or you can go to the file view properties to define the exploded view. Alternate position view. This is a very good tool in SolidWorks, I would say, and as it helps us to show the motion of an assembly component or of an assembly components within the same view. So instead of creating different views to show motion or the available movement in a particular configuration, what we can do is within the same view, we can show another view overlapped on the view. So using which you can show that, yes, this view or this assembly can move from this range to that range. So you can say from, say, for example, 0 to 90, a particular component or a set of components can move from position A to position B. One thing, earlier it was only available for the assemblies. Now you have it available for parts also. So in the parts also, you can show them in different state. For example, if you have a sheet metal component, you can show the flattened state and the folded state of the sheet metal component in one view. Or if you work with casted component, this was actually requested by people working in the casting industry, that we want to show the casted part and the machine part in the same view, so that our shop floor person will understand, yes, that this is the finished part, and the dotted line will show that there will be a casting or there will be an extra material outside the machining area. So this view is very helpful, I would say. Now, where to find this view? We can find it on the drawing toolbar, and we can also find it on the insert menu. Now let's quickly create one alternative view. So I have this view, assembly view, and I want to show that this lever can go in this direction, I mean like clockwise, and then this shaft will move again in that direction horizontally. So you click on view, you click on alternate position. You can also use an existing configuration if you want, or we can also create a new configuration. I click on OK. So the moment we click on OK, it will automatically open up the model we drag it. Say we want to show until like this. We click OK, and the view will be generated. So within the same view, we can show another view overlapped or another configuration overlapped. If we want to say switch to the configuration one I have, you right click, edit feature, and you can pick this one. Both are same. So let's, or we can also add one more. So we'll go back. So I'll change it to like this. So we have this 1, 2, and 3. So this is 1. We'll add another view, and I'll use an existing configuration. Okay. So we can have more alternate positions if we want. So this is for an assembly, and similar way, we can also do it for the part. I'll switch over to one of the part. This is a sheet metal component, and I do not want to add another view showing flag pattern or how it's going to look like in the flag pattern and then try to overlap them. So it's also good for the presentation. So instead of that, what I'll do is I'll just use an alternate position view. I'll click on the alternate position view. So I want to use, I do not want to use, because this is a part with a fixed geometry and it doesn't have anything in motion or free where we can drag it free. So what I have is a flat pattern configuration. I will pick that and click OK. So within the same view, we have added the flat pattern configuration as well as the folded state to show that how it is reacting. We can also do a reverse of it. What I mean to say is we can also do a flat pattern like this, and then we go edit feature, and so we can do also like, we can also show it like this way, that initially it will be flat and after fold, it will be shown in the bent state or the folded state. Any questions so far? Or are we going good?
Deepak, let's handle questions at the end. I think let's have the session, then we have questions at the end.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, I'll continue then. Thank you. Relative to the model view. Relative to the model view, you can say it is similar to auxiliary view. And the advantage in this particular one is that we can define a particular face or plane where exactly which we want to show in the view. One thing. Then second is we can also use this particular view to show a selected body or selected bodies from a multi-body part, which otherwise will be a little difficult, because when you insert a part with multi-bodies, right, all of the bodies will be available in the view, and you have to go and hide each body, right? So instead of that, what we can use relative to model view, and we can select a particular body which we want to show as an individual view. This is very helpful when you work with weldments or multi-body parts and you want to detail out individual bodies. Similarly, for the assemblies also, when you are working with assemblies and you have a component which is at a little inclined shape, and when you try to create a view of it, it may not come in the required desired orientation, so that you can easily detail it out. So what you can do is you can use the relative to the model view. Relative to the, like we have been discussing for other views, most of the views are available on the drawing toolbar. If they are not available, you can always customize and add to your drawing toolbar, you can also add to your shortcut key, your S keys, or your keyboard shortcuts also. Oh, sorry. So first what I'll do is like I'll pick this individual component. Now, if I go to this, let me just open it up first. So I want to show the position of these holes with respect to this edge, right? Now, let me just try to dimension it. I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is not working because this is an inclined surface and SOLIDWORKS is not able to find the required center for it. So what we do now, so relative view is very helpful in this case. I'll go to drawing toolbar. I'll click on
Deepak, we are unable to hear your voice.
I'll click OK. Now let's try to do the dimension now. Oh, sorry. Yes. So the dimension is easily available now. I'm not sure why it is coming inclined now. Let me just use an horizontal dimension over here. Yeah. So now this detail is much more better over here. So the person can see that these holes are perpendicular to this face, right? And they can easily check the dimension from this edge, or if you want to define it from a different edge. Now we have a multi-body part and we want to show or detail out few of the components. So one is like if we try to create, for example, let me just open this file and let's say we want to detail out this part or maybe this particular part, right? Now when I say model view and right, so first thing is like all of the bodies are coming. We can hide the bodies by right click properties and then we can go hide show in bodies. I'll not show all of hide all of them, but then you have to do other things. For example, you have to rotate the view to get the desired orientation of the bodies. So let's not do that. Instead we go to again relative view. I'll click on this view. So by default it is showing the front and right and one of the faces selected, and because it is a multi-body part, it gives me an option that if you want an entire part or selected bodies. So I'll pick selected bodies. I will say this I want. For front face, I'll pick this, and for the top, I'll select this. So I have my faces defined, I have my body defined. I will click OK, and let me just increase the scale or maybe make it 2. Sorry, 1:5 would be good. So now I can easily detail this body out without having to hide bodies or without having to do rotate views to get the desired orientation. Let's add one over here. Again, back to relative view. Now the faces are already selected. I want this particular component, but I want to keep this as front. and I'll keep this as my top. Click OK. I'll make the scale 1:10, or we can use a break. Let's use a break view over here. So let's use. So with the help of the relative view, we were able to position the bodies we want to detail out in the desired orientation, and they look much more clear or cleaner on the drawing. So if we have to use, for example, this particular method, would have to hide individual bodies, and we'll have to do it really for each body we want to detail out. And then in some cases we will have to rotate view to rotate the model, the view, or we have to delete the view and go for a different orientation of the view, and again use the hide bodies and everything. Even for this plate also, if we want the plate on the top or these plates, right? So we can also hire, we can also put a detailed relative view for these plates. I'll say selected bodies. So I'll say this will be my front and this will be my right. So now I can easily detail this body. Named view is again similar to, you can say, a relative model view. But in this particular case, we do not need to select any face. I mean, like, it's an optional. If we want to select a face, we can do that, but it is not necessary. And named view is basically used when you do not have a standard view orientation and you want to show model in a different orientation. Named view is again, it's not available in the drawing, similar to exploded view. We create the view, desired view in the model, and then we insert them into the drawing. We'll also see there is one more method we will also see during the creation of the named view. So let me just open up the model first and I'll show you. For example, I want to show the view in this orientation, but because it is not a standard view, right? So what I did is I printed the model in the desired view. I go back to the drawing and I go to the drawing model view, click on the desired model. So SOLIDWORKS gives me one option which says current model view. So what this option does is it basically creates a model, a view of the model, of the selected model in its current orientation. We'll make it. Now the problem is, once it is done, that option is away, and if you change the orientation, this orientation will not change. So this is basically a temporary solution if you want to use a different orientation. Now let me delete it, go back to the drawing, and oops, sorry. Yeah. So now what to do if we want to change the orientation and we want to make sure that orientation also changes in the drawing? I'll press the space bar and this orientation box will show up, right? You click on new view. I will add it as a ISO second. So it's basically an isometric view. You can add any name you want. You can also name it as 3D view, right? Now you go back to the drawing, you insert model view, you selected your desired view. Now those views will show up in the list. I'll pick say ISO or whatever view you want to select. I'll say ISO second. You put it over here. Use sheet scale. Now, what is the advantage is, let me just change the orientation. Now at a later stage, you thought, no, that orientation which we just created was not good, and let's switch over to a different orientation. So what I'll do is, like, I'll switch over to a different orientation. I'll go back to the named view. I can use the same name which was created earlier, and SolidWorks will override the view. And now when we go back to the drawing and rebuild the drawing, the view orientation will change. So the current model view is in a temporary solution. If you don't want to create a named view, that is in a temporary named view, you can say created by SolidWorks. But if you want and wherever you have used in this drawing or whatever drawing of that component, wherever you have used this view name, they will automatically change. So let me also change this to ISO view. Now let's go back to the model. We'll again switch over to a same view name but different orientation. So now the both views orientation have changed, but when you use current model view, the orientation will not change. That brings us to the end of the views which we wanted to cover today. Now, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Can we have the questions, please?
You could type your question in the chat or unmute and ask on the audio.
Yes, you can also put the questions in the chat. Yeah. That is my email ID. I will be happy to receive your questions, comments on the feedback. And if you want to connect with me on the social media, various platforms where you can find me with the handle of the handle name is Gupta9665. So you can connect me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Reddit or YouTube. You can find me on these channels. We have a request of multi-body part exploded view simple demo. Okay. Let me just open one file first. Okay. So we have this multi-body part, and we go to, let me just find the command. Where the command is, should be, oh, yeah. So we have the command insert exploded view, and it works the same way we do it in the assembly. So let me just select 3. Oh, sorry. So it behaves the same way we have it in the assembly. So sorry. And say we want to have this pin also. So we have this as an exploded view, and now let's create a drawing, or let's make a drawing. So you can see, because we have the exploded view in the model, this option will show up. I'll change the scale. And similarly, just like in the assemblies, right? So the option is going to remain same, that we can have the exploded line sketch as well. If you want to add, for example, we want to say, we'll make it reverse. Okay. We'll make it. So there is no hole available. So we'll pick this face. And for these plates, we can always edit this sketch if we want. So you say we want to edit this sketch as well. So similar way, like we do it in this, we can also add the exploded lines over here. And when we go back to the drawing, the exploded view lines will be available as well. So the options are the same as you see in the assembly. Any more questions, please? You are welcome, Derek. Thank you, Rogers. We still have more time, and I'll be happy to answer more questions, or can give you quick demonstrations on the views if you want to see anything specific what we have discussed today.
Deepak, it seems we don't have any more questions. Or maybe we give about 2 minutes and then we see what happens.
Okay, I'm still up over here, and I'm really thankful to everyone for staying up for this presentation and letting me share my knowledge with you all on SOLIDWORKS drawing tools. And I'm sure that the presentation or what we have discussed today will help you to progress your knowledge, to increase your knowledge, and to help you work out more easily on the drawings. You're welcome, David. So with that, I'll give it back to you, Derek, in case there are any questions. I am available till end of the meeting.
Yes, Gupta, thanks for the presentation. Members, you can keep the questions coming in the chat.